The bustling marketplace on the desert planet of Xalara was a place where many traders, scavengers, and wanderers gathered in search of goods. Under the scorching twin suns, the sounds of haggling and the exchange of rare materials filled the air. Droids hummed, hovercrafts zoomed by, and colorful stalls stretched as far as the eye could see. The planet, a crossroads of galactic commerce, drew people from all corners of the universe. But among them, few dared to approach the mysterious girl and her unusual companion. She was an alien, a girl with translucent skin that shimmered in the harsh sunlight, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dim light of the marketplace. Her hair was made of wisps of soft, ethereal strands that floated weightlessly around her head. She was a member of the Ashari species, known for their grace, their beauty, and their strange, almost otherworldly connection to the creatures they bonded with. But it wasn't her beauty that made people hesitate. It was her companion. The creature she kept by her side was nothing short of terrifying. It was massive, a towering, insectoid beast with segmented limbs and glowing, iridescent eyes. Its mandibles clicked ominously as it moved beside her, a strange hum reverberating in the air every time it shifted. The creature was known across the galaxy as a Kraxx, a species that was both feared and revered for its sheer power and dangerous instincts. Its presence made many avoid the girl at all costs, despite her seemingly peaceful demeanor. Traders would glance at her from a distance, but no one would come close. Most of the people on Xalara believed the girl had a bond with the Kraxx that went beyond mere companionship. It was something deeper, something that could not be easily understood. The bond between the Ashari and their creatures was legendary, but the Kraxx had never been tamed. No one knew how the girl had tamed it or why she kept it close, but the mere sight of the two together was enough to make most people steer clear. No one wanted to approach the alien girl and her creature, except for one person. Jonas Crowe was a trader of rare and valuable goods, one who had spent more time navigating the underworld of space than exploring its more peaceful planets. His ship, the Mercantile, was stocked with all kinds of items, tech, spices, weapons, and ancient artifacts, but he had a reputation for always seeking something new, something exotic. He had heard stories of the girl and the Kraxx, of the fear they instilled in others. But when Jonas saw her one day, standing alone in the marketplace with the Kraxx looming beside her, something inside him stirred. There was an air of sadness about her, a quiet isolation that seemed to speak volumes. While everyone else avoided her, Jonas saw her as more than just a creature or a bond. He saw someone in need of connection. It was a simple, gut feeling, the kind that guided his decisions in life. He knew that to approach her was a risk, one that could very well be his last, but he couldn't ignore the pull. Jonas walked through the market, glancing at her from across the stalls. She was looking down at the ground, her pale fingers brushing the surface of a small, hand-carved trinket on a nearby table. The Kraxx stood motionless beside her, its antennae twitching in the heat. Despite the heavy air of suspicion surrounding them, the girl seemed calm, almost serene, as if nothing in the galaxy could disturb her. Taking a deep breath, Jonas walked forward. As he passed the stall, he picked up a small bottle of water and handed it to the girl. "Here," he said, his voice steady but soft. "You look like you could use it." For a long moment, the girl did not respond. She stared at the bottle in his hand, her glowing eyes focusing on him, and Jonas couldn't help but wonder if she could even understand him. But then, slowly, her lips parted, and she spoke in a language he didn't recognize. Her voice was melodic, almost like a song. There was no fear in it, no aggression, just a quiet, uncertain tone. Jonas smiled gently, stepping a little closer, but keeping his distance. "I don't speak your language, but I think you understand what I'm offering." To his surprise, the girl nodded, a slow, graceful movement. She took the bottle from his hand, her fingers brushing against his, and for a moment, Jonas felt a surge of something, a connection, however brief and fleeting. The Kraxx remained still, watching, its eyes following every movement Jonas made. It did not seem threatening, only observant. "You're alone out here," Jonas said, his voice still calm. "People tend to avoid you, don't they?" The girl nodded again, a hint of sadness in her eyes. She gestured toward the Kraxx, as though trying to explain something to him. Jonas, for a moment, was unsure of how to respond. Then he spoke. "You're not alone," he said. "Not really. You've got him." He pointed to the Kraxx, "but you've got more than that. There's always someone willing to listen if you're open to it." The girl looked at him, her glowing eyes searching his face. And for the first time since he had seen her, she gave him a small, hesitant smile. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a tiny glimpse of something beyond the isolation she had lived with. Jonas continued, "I'm not afraid of your creature. I've seen worse things in the galaxy, and you're not some mystery to be avoided, either. I can see it in you." For a long moment, the girl remained silent, her eyes locked onto his. The Kraxx remained perfectly still, its gaze now soft, almost approving. Finally, the girl spoke again, this time in broken, halting words. "Thank you for not running." Jonas's heart tightened at her words. He didn't know what the girl had been through, or why she and the Kraxx were so feared, but he could see the isolation in her eyes. She didn't want to be alone, and he wasn't going to leave her to that fate. He took a step back, smiling again. "I'm Jonas Crowe. I'm a trader. I've got a ship. If you ever want to leave this place, I can help you get off this planet. You don't have to be here alone, with no one willing to approach." The girl looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and uncertainty, but there was something else there. Hope, just barely visible behind the wall she had built around herself. She nodded once more, and this time, her smile was a little wider, a little more certain. "I am Lyssa," she said, her voice more confident now. "And I think I would like that." Jonas extended his hand, and after a moment's hesitation, the girl, Lyssa, placed her hand in his. It wasn't a handshake, more a moment of shared understanding, a bond between two souls who had both known isolation in different ways. From that moment on, things changed. Lyssa and her Kraxx companion became regular visitors at Jonas's ship. He continued his work as a trader, but with the quiet assurance that he had made a difference in someone's life. And in return, Lyssa shared her knowledge of the galaxy, of her species, and their deep connection to the creatures they bonded with. She wasn't just a girl with a terrifying creature. She was someone with stories, with wisdom, and with a life that deserved to be understood, not feared. As for the Kraxx, Jonas never grew comfortable with its presence, but he grew to respect it, just as he grew to respect the bond between Lyssa and the creature. The galaxy, with all its vastness and danger, could sometimes be a place of connection, not just conflict. And in this small, unexpected corner of it, a human trader and an alien girl had found something rare, a friendship that defied fear, prejudice, and misunderstanding. The marketplace of Xalara still bustled with its usual activity, but now there were two people who knew that sometimes the most unexpected connections were the ones that mattered most. And while no one else dared approach Lyssa and her creature, Jonas had taken the risk, and it had made all the difference.